Today, we're digging into a real engineering mystery. How can a steel part that passes every single quality check still fail, and fail catastrophically, out in the real world? We're about to uncover this dangerous gap between what the specs say and what really happens under pressure. Let's get into it.
So let's set the scene. Our story kicks off with what should be a totally normal situation in manufacturing. It's a story all about a high-performance gear, a really critical component inside some complex machinery. It was designed, forged, and heat-treated to incredibly precise standards.
And this gear, or one just like it, was basically the golden child of the quality control department. It passed every single documented test they could throw at it. Hardness? Check. Case depth? Looked perfect. Microstructure? Exactly what the book called for. Officially, this thing was a flawless component, totally ready for service.
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because despite all the green check marks and the passing grades, this gear failed under its normal expected service load. How is that even possible? How can something be so right on paper, but so wrong in reality?
To figure out why it failed, we first have to understand why everyone was so sure it would work. We need to look at what's called the illusion of compliance. All the standard procedures and metrics that gave this gear a clean bill of health in the first place. At the heart of all this is a process called case hardening. And honestly, it's a brilliant bit of metallurgy. You take a piece of steel and you essentially create this armor-plated exterior that's incredibly hard and resistant to wear, but you leave the inside, the core, tough and flexible so it can absorb shock. It's really the best of both worlds, and it's what makes things like high-performance gears possible.
Now, what's really cool about this slide is that it shows you exactly what the quality inspector sees. This is a hardness profile. See how you have very high hardness right at the surface, and then it kind of gradually drops off as you go deeper into the material? This is the classic signature, the textbook example of a perfectly case-hardened part. It's exactly what you want to see.
So the inspectors run down their checklist, right? They measure the surface hardness. They confirm the effective case depth, which is just the thickness of that hardened layer. And they analyze the microstructure to make sure the steel's internal crystal structure is what it should be. According to all these trusted, industry-standard tests, our gear was a total success.
But, as we already know, that success was just an illusion. The failure proves that these surface-level metrics missed something absolutely crucial. To find the real culprit here, the real smoking gun, we have to look deeper, beyond what you can see right on the surface.
And this iceberg analogy is just perfect. The hardness and the case depth that we can measure on the surface, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real danger, the part that can sink the whole ship, is hidden from view.
And that hidden factor, that massive part of the iceberg underwater, is something called residual stress. These are stresses that are literally locked into the material after it's made, even when it's just sitting on a shelf. It's like an invisible internal battle being fought inside the steel. But here's the thing. Not all stress is created equal. On one side, you've got compressive stress. Think of this as the hero of our story. It's a squeezing force that holds the material's atoms together really tightly, and that makes it much, much harder for cracks to form. You want this on the surface. But then you have its evil twin, tensile stress. This is a pulling apart force. It's actively trying to rip the material's bonds apart, which creates the perfect environment for tiny cracks to grow and spread. This is the villain, especially when it's lurking just beneath that hardened surface.
Okay, so if this residual stress is so darn important, why don't our standard metrics catch it? This is where the story gets really interesting, because the data reveals a fundamental flaw in how we often measure strength.
The whole problem boils down to a concept called hardness-stress decoupling. I know, it sounds a little technical, but the idea is actually super simple and really profound. Just because something is hard doesn't mean it isn't stressed out. Measuring one doesn't tell you the whole story about the other.
And this slide just illustrates the point perfectly. Look at the left. You see that hardness profile we saw before? The hardness is high and stays pretty steady near the surface, maybe in the first millimeter or so, before it starts to drop. But now look at the stress profile. It's telling a totally different story. While the hardness is changing over about, say, 1.3 millimeters, the stress, man, that keeps evolving way, way deeper, sometimes down to 3 millimeters. A test that only looks near the surface is completely blind to what's happening underneath.
So here's the critical takeaway. By focusing only on that surface hardness, which looks all stable and good, the standard tests are completely missing this dramatic, dangerous shift happening deep inside the part, where that good compressive stress can actually flip into bad tensile stress.
This leads to a massive overestimation of how strong the component actually is.
How massive, you ask? Well, get this. Research shows that standard fatigue tests have at least an 87% chance of getting it wrong. That's not just an error margin, that's practically a guarantee of false confidence.
And believe it or not, it gets even worse. What happens if you have tiny, almost impossible to detect defects from the manufacturing process, which, by the way, are super common? Those hidden flaws make that bad tensile stress even more dangerous. And in that case, the probability of overestimating the strength just skyrockets
To 99%. Just let that sink in for a second. If a case-hardened part has common, unseen manufacturing variations, the standard tests we rely on are virtually guaranteed to give us a dangerously misleading picture of its real strength. So what does this mean in the real world? It's staggering. A part gets stamped with 99.9% reliability based on the standard playbook, but its actual reliability? Once you factor in those hidden stresses, it could be as low as 74%. That 25-point gap is the difference between success and a catastrophic failure.
So, what's the big lesson here? What do we do with all this? It means we've got to start thinking differently about quality control. We have to look beyond just the surface and start seeing the whole picture.
The key takeaway is really this simple. Looking only at surface metrics like hardness and effective case depth, well, it gives you a dangerously incomplete story. They're necessary, sure, but they are not nearly enough.
So just remember what the standard tests are missing. They miss the true villains of the story, the hidden tensile stresses, those random manufacturing defects, and the deep stress profile that our typical measurements can't even see.
And all of this brings us to one final, really critical question. And this goes way beyond just gears and metallurgy. It's a question for anyone who designs or builds anything. Take a hard look at your metrics, at how you measure success, and ask yourself this: is what you're measuring what actually matters?